She squeezed him to her ample bosom. "That's all right, Lord Wyatt. I'd rather you like my pies than not. What's the punishment this time?" "A week in my rooms," he said glumly. "And it's summer. I will go mad being kept inside." "No restrictions on your meals?" she asked. "No, just that I take all of them in the schoolroom." She hugged him again. "Then I'll see that you have pie every day, my lord." Wyatt thanked her profusely and took the back stairs to his room, passing his favourite maid along the way. "Hello, Joan," he said. "Good afternoon, Lord Wyatt," she said cheerfully. "In trouble again?" "Yes." "Don't worry, your punishment will be over quickly, and school will start before you know it. I know you miss your friends." She was right. He did miss his friends, and wished the new school term would hurry up and arrive. "Stay out of trouble, my lord," she said, and continued down the stairs. Wyatt arrived in his room and threw himself onto the bed. He pillowed his hands beneath his head and stared at the ceiling. He must have fallen asleep because when he opened his eyes his stomach growled. He went across the hall to the schoolroom and found a tray on the table. Despite having eaten 3 whole pies, he was already ravenous again. He knew it was a growth spurt because he kept needing new trousers all the time. After he finished the meal, he wandered back to his room and played with his toy soldiers for a while. Bored, he read a chapter in the book resting by his bedside, but it didn't hold his attention. He closed it and sat by the open window, watching as the summer sun sank below the horizon. He continued watching as the night came to life, with the hooting of an owl sounding nearby and various creatures scurrying about in the bushes. Eventually the 2 carriages carrying the dinner-party guests departed. For an hour he stared out the window and decided he should turn in for the night. Then movement caught his eyes. He spied Clive, his fingers around some female's upper arm, dragging her along. She stumbled and fell to her knees. Clive yanked her back up. As he did, Wyatt saw it was Joan. Where was his brother taking the maid? A sick feeling washed over him. He'd heard murmurings from the servants about his brother's bad behaviour. Several maids had up and quit in the last few years. One had been let go. Thanks to eavesdropping, he learned the unmarried girl had been with child. His brother's child. Naturally, Clive had not been held accountable for his misdeeds. He continued to strut about as if he had done nothing wrong in ruining a young girl's life. Wyatt knew his father would never have paid to see the girl and her child taken care of. To do so would admit wrongdoing on Clive's part, and the Duke would never want his heir associated with a bastard child. Now he worried that the same thing would happen to Joan. The servant had always been friendly and hard-working. It wouldn't be fair for Clive to force himself on her, especially if it cost her livelihood and meant she would birth a bastard. Wyatt was young, but he knew how all levels of society would reject Joan if she had a baby out of wedlock. She would be shunned. No man would marry her. He couldn't stand the thought of her suffering so. He had always possessed a strong sense of right and wrong. Despite his father's edict that he was confined to his room, Wyatt couldn't let this happen. He had to intervene and protect Joan. Opening his door, he glanced out and saw the hallway deserted. He knew with his parents' guests now gone, they would have retired to their separate chambers. Slipping down the staircase, he reached the bottom floor and crept out the door, closing it softly behind him. Fearful of what might already have happened, he ran toward the stables. It was the direction Clive had headed, and Wyatt figured it would give his brother the privacy he wanted. He reached the open doorway, peering inside. Though darkness surrounded him, he could see light coming from the far end. Anger surged through him. Without lighting a lantern, he moved along the pathway, his hand brushing against each stall he passed as horses nickered at him. As he came closer, he heard Joan begging, "Please, my lord, please don't. I don't want this. It hurts." Wyatt heard a slap. "Shut up, you little bitch. You know you wanted this. Sashaying past me all those times."